Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty and today I'm here with 28 layout shares for you based off the Load project, and that is the Layout a Day project. If you don't know what that is, if you find the show description right below this video, I will link you up to all the information there. So let's just go day by day as I show you my layouts. So day one's prompt was something you didn't expect and to use musical icons or title. So for this one, I've used the Little Deuce Coupe song from the Beach Boys as my title and talked about how we unexpectedly bought a car. Day number two is what or who is home to you and to use purple. So mostly I did the story about my daughter coming home to visit from college and how she missed us more than she thought. Day number three was a go-to spot for connection with friends and to use circles. So I got both of those and I talked about how my daughters are actually really good friends and they often hang out together when we go for daily walks. So day number four is tell about something you know or say all the time and to use a sketch. And for this one, I basically used the story. So really simple layout, just kept little areas for each saying and then a tiny bit of journaling on top of that. Day number five was something you really wanted or something you want now, and use that most wanted supply for the technique prompt. So I mostly covered the story and I talked about how our kitty passed away and we really thought we would have more time with him and that we really wanted that time. So that was a little bit of a sad one. Day number six asks what is your personality and use colors to match your personality as the technique prompt. Now I didn't do that and that is okay with the Load project. If you don't want to use prompts, you do not have to. And in fact, I used a pre-made double page layout spread that I made in a prior class for today's layout. So for this day, I just added my photos, my journaling, and a few finishing touches and called my day complete. So with the Layout a Day project, it doesn't have to be big, complicated, and fully from scratch. You can set up yourself to be successful for the month. And in fact, day number 7 talks about capturing a day in the life and to use a catchphrase as a title. Well, I didn't use the catchphrase, but I did capture my day in the life through the Project Life app on my phone. So going digital using digital shortcut tools, totally okay in the Layout a Day challenge. And then for day number 8, I finished creating the second page to that day in the life layout from the day before. So I did not even use the prompt of what do you do on a break or use a broken effect. Sometimes I will save those prompts that I've skipped for other days and sometimes not. So day number 9 was to talk about a pet or a nature story and to use a paw print or botanicals. So I did talk about a nature story about how I like to walk at this nature park, and it was totally easy to get botanicals on that layout. Day number 10 was to tell a story as an observer and to use frames for the technique prompt, and this time I just used the technique prompt and I framed a photo of my husband and I with that giant heart. Day number 11 talked about what is your competitive side or about competitions in general, and then to use a varsity font. So here is where I skipped the prompt for this day, but I will pick up this prompt on another day. So today instead I talked about how different people have different quote-unquote love languages and that sharing coffee is one thing that my son and I share together to show our affection for each other. So then day number 12 talked about what dream have you chased and to use clouds. And I've already told a dream chasing story in the past, so I didn't feel the need to use that prompt. So instead, I went back to the prompt that I just mentioned for yesterday about a competitive story and to use a varsity font. So for this one, I used the Simple Stories, I can't remember what the collection is called, but it's all about playing games. So I used that collection to create a layout about a bunch of the games we've played over the winter break. Day number 13's story prompt was to start your story with the one with the fill in the blank. And that's because our theme for the month has to do with the Friends TV show, and each episode of that TV show was titled The One with the... So we used that as our prompt today, and then the technique prompt was to use numbers. Now I did not use this prompt for today. Instead, I pick up this prompt on day 17. So instead, I used another pre-made background page from a previous class because I needed a quick one for the day. Again, added my photo, my journaling, and a few of my touches to this pre-made layout and called it done. Day number 14, the prompt was, "Who is your lobster?" which is a catchphrase from the TV show about who is your special person. And then the technique was to use an ocean or beach technique, but I just mostly used the story. And it's not about my lobster. I told a story about my friends having a date afternoon at our house because, or at the time, their house had a 2-year-old in it. So the 2-year-old was being babysat, and with COVID restrictions, they had nowhere really to go besides sitting in the cold car in the middle of winter. So they asked if they could come over to our house instead, and we let them borrow our living room for a date. Day number 15 was who or what made an impression on you, and to use a star. When I was thinking about this prompt, I thought about all the teachers I had growing up that I really liked, and that led to me realizing that the school that I went to was a K through 8th grade school, and it shut down several years ago. And I actually ran across a photo of the abandoned building on the internet, and it really made me kind of sad. So I captured that abandoned building along with some bits and pieces of my memories of going to school there. Now, this photo doesn't have the journaling in there, but since taking this photo, I have completed that journaling and it is in there. Day number 16 was about pet peeves and to use something you would normally avoid for your technique. So again, this one I just picked up the technique prompt and didn't really do the story prompt. And for the technique, it's really hard to see on here, but I used loose glitter just to create a very simple frame around that main block in the middle of the page. And loose glitter is definitely something I avoid. Now I have blocked out all of those strips of paper going from top to bottom, have my journaling on it, and for privacy, I have blocked out a lot of that journaling. So day 17, the story prompt was to scrapbook about a first and to use one featured color. I actually did both of these prompts, and then I also picked up the day 13 prompt to use the phrase "the one with the" as my title. So as you can see, this gets titled the first one with all of the moving boxes. So I talked about the first time my daughter left home for college, and I got that kind of title prompt in there, and I featured blue as my feature color. So sometimes you can be inspired to combo up your prompts. Day number 18 asks, what are you obsessed with? And then use something sun-inspired. And I did the story prompt for this one, and I picked up a bit of day 6, and that talks a little bit about your personality, which I had skipped. So this is about how, in my head, I use the phrase "a place for everything" and everything in its place quite often to try and remind myself to keep tidy. And when I do have a place for everything, I am able to keep tidy. My problem is I don't always have a place for everything. Or rather, the place that I have is one big pile. So that's a little about my personality. Day number 19 is what is up with your clothes, or talk about your fashion, and to use colors that don't match. I didn't really use either one of those prompts. Instead, I just am continuing my daughter's college journey layouts, which I have a few of left to do, and this was some photos of her new dorm and moving into the dorms. This isn't my most favorite page. It's kind of bland and boring. I may go back and spruce it up a bit, but for the purposes of getting a layout a day done, I'm calling it done. Day number 20 was to talk about a celebration or a special event and to use white or lace. And in this layout, I sort of used white because I used it as the borders for all of my photos. And this one I created completely digitally, and it took me quite a long time because I had this very specific style of pointing out everything in these pictures and creating journaling labels for every single item that I wanted to point out. And that took me forever. But I am trying to learn more digital scrapbooking, so that was the point of today. Plus, I was able to create this page while sitting on the couch, quote unquote, watching a TV show with my husband, so he doesn't miss me while I'm in the basement creating all these scrapbook layouts for an entire month. Day number 21 talks about what brings you comfort or joy, and to use a title with alliteration. So for this one, I did get both prompts in, and I talked about how my family finds joy when it snows. We live in a place where it doesn't snow very much here, and when it does snow, we get really excited. And these are some of the activities we like to do in the snow. And my title says Winter Weather Wonders, so I got my alliteration in there. Day number 22 is talk about a story of change or pivoting and to use arrows. And since this day was the 22nd of February, or the date reads 2/22/22, a lot of people were excited about the date, especially since it was on a Tuesday. I decided to take up my photo with my fingers holding up the number 2, and then I do, under all these little journaling cards, journal 22 items about my day that day. And one of them does talk about making a pivot in the day when I had one plan and I had to change to a different plan for the day. Day number 23 talks about what do you like to do when you're sitting on the couch, and to use fringe. So I did get that one in here, and this is a watercolor layout that I did, and I put fringe around my photo. And in fact, this layout I'm going to have a process video for you later this week. Day 24 talks about a food story and to use layers. And while my story is about Thanksgiving, it's not exactly about the food. So I didn't really get the prompts in for this day, but I had a lot of fun doing this page, and I already have a layout process video up of this one. So I will link you up to anything that I've already got up for you to see. Day 25 talks about an inside joke or something funny, and to use a minimal style page. So I mostly got both of those prompts in. I took pictures of my daughter being just a tad bit melodramatic when we finished this kind of difficult puzzle. And so that was kind of funny to me. And then using this very minimalist style, I only have one embellishment cluster and one column of really items on this page, and I let the background paper do most of the work. And I tell you, it was really hard to just put that little bit of stuff on this page because I want to fill up every spot on the page with stuff. All right, day 26 is scrap something special about a friend, and to use hidden flaps or a game show effect. And I got most of these prompts in today because I was talking about my husband's friends like to play games, and my daughter really likes to join them. So I used a game show kind of announcer title that says, "Let's play just one of the dads." And my journaling reads like the announcer announcing the guest players for this game. So I thought that was, sometimes these prompts can lead you to use titles or journaling or styles on your page that you might not otherwise, and they end up being really fun. So that is part of what I love about Load. Day 27 talks about a fond memory that you don't have any photos for, and to use black embellishments. Now, I didn't have a story at the time that I wanted to tell, and I was in a hurry. So once again, I turned to my pre-made page bases from a previous scrapbooking class, and I tucked in my photos, my journaling, and then I added in some embellishments from a pack of Vicki Boutin supplies that I thought fit the theme of this layout just fine. But then for the final day, the prompt was a now and then of you and or your friends, and to use a split layout design. I've done lots of now and then pages before, so that prompt wasn't really speaking to me very much, but then I remembered that yesterday's prompt was to tell a story that you don't have photos for. And my daughter has been in the midst of rehearsals for her musical performance from her alternative school. And because of COVID restrictions, parents aren't allowed to be in the building, so I have 0 photos of their rehearsal process. And it's making me kind of sad because I do like to go in and take photos of the kids and show the progression from the beginning of the rehearsal process to the final show production. And I don't have those photos this year, so I wanted to capture that story. So that's it. That was my 28 days of scrapbooking a layout every single day. If you don't already know about Load, I hope you found this project inspiring. I'd love you to go check out the Load event. The next one will be in May. Now, these events are included in Scrap Happy membership. That's the group that runs the events, but you can also purchase them as standalone quote-unquote classes, so that you can play along with us, even if you're not sure you want to have a full membership over there. So again, all of that information is in the show description right below this video, so you can check that out. Thanks so much for watching, and like I said, I will be back with that watercolor process video of how I created that layout all about my spot on the couch. I hope you will join me then, and if you got something useful out of this video, I do appreciate a thumbs up because that does help my channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.